Well, hello there. It is I, Shane Ryer, coming at you with another edition of Elden Ring. Pierre. Today we're doing science. We're doing science with the Carian Knight.
This is probably my favorite build. Carian Knight?
Carian Knight.
We're doing some science. Carian Knight science. I was watching a buddy of mine who I have been ripping off his builds since Dark Souls 3. Sir Grey Fox A. We just call him Sir Grey, but Sir Grey Fox A is their name. Tons of great videos here on YouTube. They stream on Twitch now as well. Very flashy player. Lots of stylish, cool plays and weird stuff that maybe I would never think about ever doing. But he and I are on a similar wavelength. And so, yeah. I was watching Sir Grey, and he also really likes the Carian Knight stuff. He was using Carian Greatsword into Carian Piercer as a true combo. Which was, why did I just never think of that? Now, he was using it at max cast speed, and that was like the first thing I wanted to do. So this is a level 66 build with max cast speed. Alright, it's not gonna do a lot of damage with the spells, but, and honestly, at level 60, that's one of those build levels where, like, the don't be cute thing, like, that's where that comes from. Because at level 60, you just cannot afford to have a cute build. But I went ahead and made a cute build at level 66. And it's a max cast speed Carian Knight. This is probably like my favorite build in Elden Ring. I love everything about it. You get a medium shield with the best parry. You get a dope straight sword with a cool heavy attack that's unique. And then you get my favorite types of spells, which are sword spells. Right? There's nothing to dislike about Carian Knights. Yeah, anyway. So, Carian Greatsword into Carian Piercer as a true combo at max cast speed. And that was the whole point of me making the build, and so I did. And I had a good time with it. And then I started thinking about, like, how I didn't really understand... the way things worked. So this is one step down from max cast speed. Okay, there's a person by the name of Jerp who created all kinds of spreadsheets and useful tools and data all gathered in one place. Jerp, J-E-R-P, and if you just search Jerp, you'll find a link tree. I'll put a link in the description of this video with Jerp's link tree. It's just all kinds of crazy stuff as far as like resources for Elden Ring is concerned. But yeah, so I was thinking about like, okay, can I go one step down from max cast speed and still have that true combo? And the answer was yes, on a good connection. So the way cast speed works is at 70 dex, and that can be virtual dex. Radigan's icon gives you 30 virtual dex, and Lusat's staff gives you 40 virtual dex. Virtual dex meaning it's not doing anything for your numbers, but it's giving you cast speed dex. It's not going to give you damage dex or anything like that. It's just, only, so we call it virtual because it's only for spellcasting. So I'm looking at Jerp's, he has a casting speed dexterity breakpoint spreadsheet. And so Carian Greatsword it loses 1 frame off of its cast, right? So you're casting it 1 frame faster at 15 dex, 19 dex, 23 dex, 28 dex, 32 dex, 36 dex, 40 dex, 45, 49, 53, 58, 62, 66, and then of course 70. So at 70 dex, Carian Greatsword into Carian Piercer is a true combo. Okay? And so I started working my way back down on the breakpoints and testing, okay, well, where does it stop being a true combo? And the answer is basically like it's up to latency. Like you can see here, my opponent is just a little, just a little, I don't want to say laggy because that makes it seem worse than it actually is. But you can see what I'm saying. They're a little skippy. And so, not a true combo. But now, what if I were to increase my dex by 5 points? Would this be a true combo then? So we're going to swap talismans and we're going to try it again. And the answer may shock you. But basically, the way dex speed, or the way dex cast speed works is every breakpoint you hit removes 1 frame of animation from the cast speed. And I'm not going to go like super into detail beyond what I already have. I'm not going to go super into detail about animations and yada yada. I'm basically just telling you how I'm doing my science here, right? And you can say, well, like, how good is it if, it's latency dependent, right? And that's the best. If you were to do this in, like, a super controlled setting with, like, your buddy, and you're both on Ethernet cables, and you live in the same region, in the same country, stuff like that, that's the only type of answer you're going to get, basically. Is like this really controlled answer, and I don't want that. I want a huge pool of data to take from, because there's a million different types of connections. There's really laggy opponents. There's really good connections. There's those in between. There's those that are pretty good but like a little skippy, stuff like that. Like stuff that actually matters. The types of invasions that you will actually encounter. It's not like this is, a fighting game where, like your connection is pretty much always going to be the same when like in a tournament setting or something like that, That's just not the case. Even if you do like a tournament style PvP, like there's going to be a little bit of difference depending on, your opponent's internet, their upload speed, their download speed, and then how far away they are from you, right? So what really matters is that I can get an idea for like what actually happens, as opposed to like, oh, this is supposed to be a true combo, but it's it's obviously not guaranteed against a bad internet connection. Like, how bad of an internet connection? It can be like a pretty good internet connection for the most part. 90% of the time, it's a fine connection you have with your opponent. But in regards to this one thing where you're changing how many frames a spell casts by 1, it's enough to make a difference. I don't know if you saw that. I don't know if you caught that or not. My opponent could have rolled right there. They didn't. That was not a true combo. Their character turned. Like, they had a split second where they could have pressed dodge. And they just didn't press dodge. So, yeah. But I love this build. That's all this really comes down to. The real optimal play here is Carian Greatsword into Straight Sword R1, and then Carian Piercer as a roll catch. That's the optimal play. That's where you're going to get the most damage, and that's going to be like not a true combo. And the Carian Greatsword into the Straight Sword R1 on a good internet connection. That's a true combo. But the follow-up Piercer as a roll catch depends upon your opponent, messing up. But there are certain things, pseudo combos, that are, they're not guaranteed, but they work so often that, you can just go for them. Another example of a pseudo combo that I really like is when you're using a colossal axe or a colossal hammer, and you hit your opponent, and then you unlock, do a ravioli step, and then press light attack, and you do that back step attack in a ravioli. Like and if your opponent panic rolls, that's a pseudo combo, right? It's not true, but more people get hit by it than avoid it. Most people get hit by it. So if you care, if this is a combo that interests you, I'm showing off my stats, not just for you, but for me, so that I could keep in mind, like, okay, how much dex was I using at this point? What was my dex? My wondrous physic for this was 10 dex, 10 intelligence. We've got Radigan's on, and we've got Radigan's Icon and Radigan's Source Seal. Radigan's Source Seal's given me 5 dex. My wondrous physic has given me 10 dex, and then Radigan's Icon is giving me 30 virtual dex, or spellcasting dex. When I first made this build, I was running with Prosthesis Wearer's Heirloom as well. I was also wearing that for another 5 dex, and that's what was getting me to max cast speed. Some people asked, like, well, why not use Lusats and Radigan's? And the reason I don't use Lusats is a lot of this build is being carried by those talismans. There's no talisman for mind that doesn't screw me over. Like, I could equip that one talisman that makes your spells cost half, but if I do that, I'm gonna, I lose out on health, right? And that's not a good trade for an invader to make. So, I went this route because, talisman slots are just talisman slots. Your wondrous physic is just your wondrous physic. So, like at level 150 or even 138, 139, you could get max cast speed and higher intelligence so that these spells are hitting harder. But Carian Greatsword and Carian Piercer, those are both pretty good damage spells. Piercers especially, but the Greatsword's not bad either. I kind of was curious about Adula's Moonblade. Adula's Moonblade doesn't true combo because it has 2 hitboxes. It hits twice. So since it hits twice, it wrecks the true combo because the hit stun value is not the same as it is on the Carian Greatsword. I was also using the Carian Glint Blades, the big one, the one that you get from the troll in the Everjail. And if you hit with all 3, that true combos into Carian Greatsword. But then that removes Carian Greatsword's ability to true combo with Carian Piercer. I think. It's possible that what's happening is you need all 3 to hit. But that is so hard to replicate. That's so hard to replicate that it's almost not even worth thinking about, in an invasion. That's one of those ones that you might want to go into like a more controlled setting and see exactly how it works. But yeah, it's when you start adding more hits into what should be true combos, you start changing how long hit stun lasts. And when you're changing how long hit stun lasts, what should be true combos stop. So something that might be a 2-hit true combo cannot be a 3-hit true combo because the hit stun values start changing on stuff. And the stagger values, your opponent's like staggered, whatever, starts changing as well. That right there, Greatsword R1 Piercer, like that's the optimal play right there in terms of damage. You just have to learn how to catch rolls with the Piercer, which is not hard, but you can't just like press it. You have to charge it a little bit and hold it, so that you can put it into like actual roll catch. Piercer's really, really good as a roll catch, but it's one of those that like you can't just press it and expect it to be a roll catch every time. It will sometimes because it's that good. Like it's really good, but there is a little bit of finesse that you have to put on it in order to get it. But yeah, this right here, I think this might be max cast speed. This invasion. I'm looking at my icons next to my health bar trying to decide, and I think this is down 1, or it's actually down 2, if I'm not mistaken. I think I'm at 54 virtual decks, or 55, something like that. 35, 40, 50. Is it 50? Oh, plus my natural levels. Okay, so I think that this is at 70 decks, it's a true combo. I think this is like 63, maybe? I think I've got 20 decks. Started as a prisoner. I think I've got 20 decks. And then I've got 10 from talismans, 10 from... Or, no, I've got 5 from talismans, 10 from a physic. And then Radigans. Right? So 20, 15 is 35. And then Radigans is 65. Yeah, so I'm at the 62 breakpoint. So I'm actually down 2. There's a breakpoint at 62 and there's a breakpoint at 66. And on a good connection, it's still a true combo. But, like, when you have 70 virtual decks, when you have max cast speed, the person you're fighting has to have really bad internet in order to escape it as a true combo. So, like, if you are, it's like, if you're looking for, this is what I like. You could do this with any 2 spells or whatever you wanted to do. But these are the 2 that I wanted to do. I'm just telling you how to, do how to approach when it's time to do science. I'm just telling you that. So, like, I basically started like, okay, at max cast speed, this is a true combo, and I've never seen it miss. And then let's go down a tier. Let's use Jerp's Elden Ring casting speed, virtual dexterity breakpoints. Let's use that, and let's get, let's go down a break point or 2 break points, and let's see if it's still true combos there. And then you start like, okay, it does true combo, on good internet, but if your opponent's connection is a little weird, then maybe it's not a true combo anymore. And work your way down from there, and then decide like, okay, like let's say 90% of the time it's a true combo. Like against like 90% of your opponents, it's still being a true combo. If that's worth for you, then you can live at that, right? Even though that's not max cast speed. And you can go down, 1 or 2 max cast speed tiers, or however much you're comfortable with, right? So like for this build, I ended up going down to, I've got 20 decks. I've got Radigans that puts me at 25. The Wondrous Physic puts me at 35 decks, and then Radigans puts me at 65. So I'm not at max cast speed, and I'm not 1 break point down. I'm at basically I'm at the 62 break point, even though I've got more decks than that. but like it works more often than it doesn't. And it frees up a talisman slot for me that I can use for the Graven Mass talisman, so that my spells do more damage, which they need at level 66, because over-leveled phantoms are absolute army tanks, and they're hard to kill. And a host who's whatever level this host is, that I've invaded here. This is like a host that has put some thought and some time into their build. So my damage is going to be real bad against them. They were level 87, by the way. So I'm level 66, fighting basically a level 90 that's got almost 21 extra levels of defense on top of my already bad damage, right? And like that's just so the Graven Mass talisman, despite the fact that it's not great, but it is helping me a little bit, and every little bit helps when you're making a build like this. Now that I've done this little experiment, I may decide. I started wondering, like, okay, what breakpoint do I need to hit for Carian Greatsword to just always be a flask punish? Because that's how I'm using it, right? When people heal, I Carian Greatsword and then start the combo. As long as Carian Greatsword is a flask punish, then I can hit the R1, and then I can hit the Carian Piercer as the roll catch, right? And that's that. I can just go that route, and then I can give myself more damage, right? And so, as long as Carian Greatsword works as a heal punish, I need to find the cast speed where that is always the case. It's good, right? And it's fun, and that's what matters. This is a cute build that stops being cute the moment you try and heal, and I like that. I like that a lot. Carian Slicer, the Carian Knight sword, stuff like that gives me plenty of opportunities to put some damage on people, and then once they've got damage on them, it just becomes a matter of sniffing out them going for a heal. And typically you can sniff that out because they stop rolling into you and they start rolling away from you. Multiple rolls away from you, as you can see. Right there, I should have held that, but I was expecting Carian Piercer to basically just do all the work for me, and it was not doing it. But this was this was fun to test out. I will say, I go into invasions and now I'm looking for people to heal against me, and when I'm actually looking for people to heal against me, I start running into people who aren't healing, and a lot of these people are, like I would typically sort of oblige them, for their like there's no enemies here. These dudes are just hanging out in an enemy-less, totally safe environment, just fighting an invader 2v1. There's no Taunter's Tongue, so I'm not going to get any backup. But like I'm trying to gather data here, and because I'm trying to gather data, this is more important than invasions right now. We need numbers. We need science, right? So I saw, you probably saw the invasion earlier, where I was using the dual spears against the bull goats, and if I'm not mistaken, I think I also pull them out against this crab-eating colossal sword phantom. And it's just one of those things where it's like, look, guys, I need numbers, and you're standing in the way of getting numbers. But like these are the opponents that will heal against you, right? And they might make mistakes and heal against you, so it's like I need that. But it's hard when there's two of them, and so we get out our little science lab assistants here, and this is going to help us get rid of this guy pretty quickly. Alright, now we can get back into the science. People will be mad at me. People will be mad at me for using dual spears, but like, I need, you know, I need to get rid of these people so that I can test stuff. I can't test stuff if I'm getting ganked, so. But, like I said, it's important that we test stuff in scenarios that are, you know, accurate and likely to happen, as opposed to testing in scenarios that, you know, like, oh, if you're fighting somebody who's also on an Ethernet cable and lives in the same region, this is always a true combo. It's like, that does nothing for me, because that's not what most of my invasions are, you know? So I need that large pool of data. And we already hit the other guy, right? We saw that we were fast enough to use the Carian Greatsword as a heal punish on reaction, and now we can do it against this guy as well, which is nice. As long as we have that, then we have the optimal combo anyway, which is Carian Greatsword R1 Piercer. But yeah, I mean, there's a million spells you could do this with. There's better spells you could do this with. There's more damaging spells you could do this with. It's just a matter of getting that first spell to be fast enough to work as a heal punish, and then what does it combo into, and what does it combo out of further. But, you know, that's why we do it. We do it for dope moments, you know. We do it so that we can look cool. I don't give a shit about the, you know, the how optimal a thing is. I want that, you know. I want stuff that looks sick as hell, boy. And that right there was sick as hell, boy. So that's why we do it. That's why we pull out the dual spears, so that we can, you know, test out how fast cast speed needs to be in order to punish Fikes with Carian Greatsword. And the answer is, you know, 60 whatever. Anyway, I will put a link to Jerp's website that has all this stuff on it, as well as a link to Sir Greyfox, Sir Greyfox's YouTube channel, since he's the guy who got me curious about Carian Greatsword and Carian Piercer as a true combo. And you can go check those things out. And those are good things to check out. And I will continue checking out Carian Greatsword heal punish stuff, and we'll all keep checking it out together. Yeah. This was right after I had finished the build, I think, this invasion right here. I can tell because I was still listening to the Elden Ring soundtrack, which is why it's playing that music instead of, you know, typically when I do invasions I turn the music in the game off so that I can put my own music on top of it. But this invasion was early enough in the playthrough that I was still listening to the Elden Ring soundtrack. Anyway, that's the end of the video. I'll see you next time. Till then, later y'all.